Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Slay to Success Talk Show. My name is Rochelle Slay Queen Hemingway, CEO and founder of Slay to Success. I advise and empower women professionals, especially women veterans, to step up into their most authentic personal brand to gain lucrative opportunities. That's right, Queens. We are trying to get this money, right, in the best way possible, in our most authentic way. And doing that by focusing on our appearance, our behaviors, our communication skills, and our digital presence. Now, if you come to this show, this is where I bring in a guest when we talk about owning all the things, okay? Owning the life and using the universal life and leadership philosophies that really resonate with me the most. So, the foundational principle to this is slay. Slay means to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, and to dream big and work hard until you own it. It is also an acronym, like I said, which stands for stay ready to be ready, lead out loud, a sense of community, and knowing you are built to last. So as you are coming into the show, first of all, we welcome you to the show because you could be anywhere else. And I know the game is on, y'all. All right. I already know my husband's downstairs. He's watching it right now. And I'm like, okay, because this is the pregame to the Super Bowl. So, but if you are here, let us know that you're here. Hello, Christy. How you doing tonight, Queen? Thank you so much for joining us from LinkedIn. Hey, LinkedIn family. How's everybody doing tonight? Chevy, thank you so much, Queen, for being here tonight as well. So, ladies, we are in for a special treat. Okay, so buckle up because, again, I bring in guests that I meet along this journey. I am a professional keynote speaker, a personal brand expert, an image consultant, y'all, because I love to get dressed up and go out to certain places, and I like to help women to do the same. A four-time author, a talk show host of not one, but I got another one that I have on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is the Rise and Slay Show. Okay, where we talk about all about personal branding and the power of personal branding. And as well as a United States Air Force veteran of 30 years. Huh? So when I'm in these streets, because I'm trying to live this life out loud and do all the things that I can as I'm in this entrepreneurial journey. And I meet such incredible people, y'all. And I have to bring them on the show to get to know them just a little bit better and to give us inspiration and to allow us to see what they're doing. So this is essentially my way of just bringing in all the great people that I meet. Okay, so tonight, y'all, we have Viktoriya Selden. Okay, Viktoriya Selden and I met at the Businesswomen's Network of Howard County event that one of the women that belong there or is a member of, she had an event at her house. And so we got to talk and I was like, yes, Queen, let's get on this show. Okay. Viktoriya is dedicated to helping neurodivergent individuals thrive at work by guiding them to understand their unique talents, their challenges, and their needs, while equipping them with strategies for success. Okay, even in just that first sentence, it already says slay to success. Okay, and through her private practice, Personalized Career Services LLC, she helps her clients identify the right career paths, the work environments, and responsibilities that align with their strengths. Now, she also supports them in navigating workplace dynamics and advocating for their needs. With nearly 20 years of experience, Viktoriya is expanding her impact by partnering with other professionals and businesses to educate them about neurodivergence and inclusive practices at work. Viktoriya holds a master's degree in vocational evaluation and an internationally certified vocational evaluator. And she is also a certified master of career services and a global career development facilitator. Okay. All my queens, they listen. We's not playing out in these streets, okay? Glenroy, how you doing? You said you're multitasking on here, working on your federal resume, and you have the game on. Okay, because I know the game is on for you. All right. Gonna sleep pretty well this evening. I know that's right. Okay. So thank you so much for being here live with us this evening. Last weekend we weren't here, but we are here this weekend. So let me just go ahead and bring my guest to the stage. Hey, Victoria.
Hi, how
How
are
you
you?
doing? I'm well. How was your day today?
It's been going great. I am so happy to be here. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. Thank you for the
Listen,
introduction.
absolutely. Like I said before, when we were at the Business Women's Network event, I was like, man, this sounds so much in alignment. She has to be on this show. We have to get to know each other just a little bit more. And I said, why not bring you here so that I could share you with my audience and be blessed with your knowledge, what you have gone through, your journey, and so forth, so on. So, outside of what I just shared, like tell us who Victoria is and kind of a little bit about your journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my, my personal story is I was born in Russia. I'm half Russian, half Ukrainian. I came here when I was 10 years old. Um, Went through school here, college. I was pretty ambitious person. So I got my master's degree. I really wanted to become self employed. So I did that for myself. I was full time self employed by the time I was 30 years old.
Wow.
And my practice was providing career services to individuals with different types of disabilities. Um, and and so I've been sticking with my private practice since then. And of course, as you can imagine, it has evolved
Hmm.
for several reasons. I can definitely go into that as well.
Yeah. It's so interesting to me. Like, you come here to the United States, and we've had several guests who've been from other countries. And even through some of my circles that I have, and you come here and you knew right away that you wanted to be self employed. So you started your own path, and very early on, you were an entrepreneur. You already had a business at the age of 30. Like, where did that insight come from? Was it because of your upbringing and you thought, hey, this is the best way for you to make a living? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, so actually, definitely not because of my upbringing, because Russians, especially back then, still very traditional. Very much you get a job or a career, you stick with it. You do what you're told. So my family, my parents were actually pretty terrified when I said to them,
Mm,
I'm going to establish an LLC. I'm going on my own. Um, they weren't discouraging me, but they were terrified. I would say
yeah.
that.
Well, it's a risk.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course, of course. What it was for me, and this is, another part that I can talk about, but it was, having a job and seeing just so many things that did not make sense to me in terms of the way the workflow, the schedule was, the way we were asked to do things that weren't always correct or didn't make sense, but the it was assigned to us from individuals who were not doing the work, right? So they didn't
Hmm.
understand. And I always felt like I can do this better if I did it myself, right?
Right.
So if my brain is tired and disengaging and I'm just scrolling through on my phone, why am I, sitting here for 2 or 3 hours just to wait until 5 o'clock, right? When I can go home and I can do something else. And then another day when I'm in the flow of things, hey, let me stay here until 7, 8, let me work. But, a regular 9 to 5 job does not work like that.
Yeah, it does not. And I'll tell you, even from the military side of the house, that doesn't work either. You
Right.
will stay until the clock turns off, or, sometimes, you're working 12, 14, 16-hour days and you're just there. And you're right. Sometimes you're just scrolling and there's dead time, if you will. There's nothing that you're not being productive, and you're not really having the progress. You're just sitting there, right? So did you work a 9 to 5 before you started your business?
I guess they weren't. traditional 9 to 5. I worked as a teacher assistant in a special education school. So it was a set schedule, but it wasn't like a desk job. And then I worked as an employment specialist where we did some in-office work. We also did, job development in the community. We did job coaching. So none of the work was ever, just a desk job. But still, if you're in the office, right, then you're not going anywhere until that clock runs out,
That's
right?
right.
And the
Yeah.
opposite, where if you're in the flow of things, and hey, let me go, let me keep working. No, no, no. 5 o'clock, we're shutting down. We're closing the office. You can't stay there. And back then, 20 years ago, we weren't really for that kind of work. We weren't working remotely. There wasn't any like bring your work home, right? So when they say you're done, you're done. And yeah, so it was really uncomfortable, I guess I would say, in a
Yeah.
way that I felt that if I had that freedom to
Yes.
create my own schedule, I would
Yeah.
be a lot more efficient and my quality of work would be a lot better as well.
That's what I'm talking about. And y'all in for a treat. I know we're just warming up in the conversation. We do have Chevy. Chevy had a comment here. She came to America and she turned 10 2 weeks later once she came from Guyana. I think that's the exact pronunciation. Chevy, you have to, correct me to 100% if that's the correct pronunciation. But and she's been here and she also has her business. So, she's wanting to find the freedom. She's got the freedom now because she was in the military as well. So, and Tina 2.0, okay, that's what we call her, Blackman, is also, she's been at her work and she's been, has it been almost 30 years, Tina? You get again, and she is on her way to retiring. And so hopefully, she'll get right into the mode of entrepreneurship and talking, this journey. And when you talk about entrepreneur and the journey, it is so it's like the ups and downs, right? Ups and downs of being in it. And you talk about the evolution. So, man, we got a lot of people here. So hold on a second. Chevy, another West Indian, Antigua here. He is in the house. That's right. And then she says, yep, correct. I heard the pronunciation. And so Tina said, yes, she's 29 years. And so she will be retiring and she's looking to become an entrepreneur. So, talk to us a little bit about the evolution because you're in the neurodivergent space. You're helping people with, maybe special needs, disabilities. You're advocating for them. So, tell us about the evolution for when you started to what is happening for you today.
Right. So before I jump into that, I want to explain neurodivergence because I think that would
Yeah,
be really helpful.
that's right.
So, um, with neurodiversity in general says that as people, we have variations in our brains, in our nervous system, the way we take in and process and experience the world, right? And while there are kind of these general variations that happen for everybody, there are individuals whose differences are, I guess, are stronger, are more severe.
Yeah,
And so, so because they are so much from the majority, right? They identify as neurodivergent, and those differences they can be challenges and needs because
mhm,
again they differ so much from the majority, but they also can be strengths and talents. So it works both ways. Um, so, and the reason I wanted to explain that, one, that's my work, that's what I'm very passionate about, and two, because in this journey of working with individuals with different types of disabilities, I also learned of my own neurodivergence, and I had an adult diagnosis when I was 38.
mm,
I also learned of, as an adult, I learned of neurodivergence of others in my family, again, also who had adult diagnosis. So, which helped to shape, I guess, well, not shape, but fuel my, passion and my for supporting specifically the neurodivergent community.
Yeah.
I'm really focused on the neurodivergent community as opposed to, all disabilities. Um,
Yeah.
so basically, as I started my practice helping different individuals, I always had, it seemed like, a special connection with the neurodivergent community. Um, it was, I spoke their language. The things that they shared, just, it made sense to me,
Yeah.
um, and, uh, and through that experience, I heard a lot of stories that resonated with me, right? A lot of things that sounds a lot like me.
Yeah.
But despite hearing those stories, and despite my education background, which is learning about neurodivergence, learning about different disabilities, I still didn't really know what was going on with myself until finally, after hearing enough stories from my clients, I started thinking, you know what, I think I have ADHD, right? And again, being in my field, I knew how to manage a lot of the challenges, right?
Yeah.
Because I teach executive functioning to my clients, right? So I knew how to manage them. Except when COVID hit, and many of us experienced new struggles, different struggles, life changing things. So I went through that too, where all of the systems that I created for myself, some knowingly, some unknowingly, that where I was kind of managing um, whatever was going on, all of that fell apart, right?
Yeah.
And in me trying to build the new systems, I realized that I wasn't living my life and managing my systems, but I mean my symptoms. I was managing my symptoms and in between trying to live my life. And at
Yeah.
that point, I said, it's too much. It's too much. I'm ready to get help beyond what I'm doing. And for
Yeah.
me, that was actually exploring medication. So, so I had the evaluation, and that's when I got the diagnosis. In which, of course, then was that huge aha moment of, okay, that's why I connect. The neurodivergent community was my people all along,
Mm.
right? And then, of course, conversations with family about their neurodivergence, right? So over time, I said I really want to focus on this community and really supporting them, and
Yeah.
really making sure that I'm doing anything that I can to help them on an individual basis, and then, of course, as you mentioned, on a larger scale as well.
Yeah. I have a few questions for you, Victoria, because I mean, that's a lot of, you know, the way that you shared, and I'm trying to break it on down. So, first, what were the symptoms that you were experiencing for then you to realize that you needed to get help to figure out what was going on?
Yeah. So, you know, to kind of simplify, for example, focus and concentration,
Mm.
right? So, the way I created my schedule was I was always busy. I was always doing things, even when I was. I do career assessments, right? For example, I contract with the state and I do career assessments for the state, right? And I would schedule more than one person at a time, which is fine, but just so that I would have that kind of, bouncing from one person to the other, because that's where I work best, right?
Yeah.
So concentration, focus was a big thing. I remember my son, as a 3-year-old, learned to prompt me because, I would kind of, like, Mama, you're in the kitchen. You went there to get me my spoon, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was a bit heartbreaking, but I remember he was maybe 6 years old and he was curled up in my lap and we were sitting and cuddling and we were talking about jobs because I think he saw me, looking at something about careers. And he said to me, "You know what, Mama? You could never be a doctor." And I said, why not? And he meant like, medical doctor, right? And I said, why
Mhm.
not? He said, well, you'll be doing surgery and then you'll just space out on like something on the wall and you'll forget what you're doing. It
Mm.
hurt. But at the same time, I understood where he was coming from, the things that
Yeah.
he observed. So again, that's just one example. But it's managing my energy. That was another big one. I have a lot of energy. I am better in motion, in movement, which is also why I'm using my hands right now. I have
Yeah.
it right here.
Yeah.
Um, so um, when COVID hit and everything went onto Zoom, that was really hard, right? And I would catch myself and I'll do my chair was going like this as I'm talking to clients. Not
Mm.
okay when they're sharing really personal things and the person in the back is, so or I would have to, after every Zoom session, I would have to go for a quick walk, right?
Yeah.
Which sounds nice, right? Healthy, but time wise, that's not feasible, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of small things, things with time management, even shifting of attention. Like if I was doing something and I would answer a phone call, um, it would take me a really long time to be able to refocus. And
Yeah.
interestingly, a lot of those things I actually did not fully even understand until I tried medication and I saw the difference.
Mm. Yeah, I think many of us can resonate with what you're saying. We may not have it to your degree, if you will, but I think even life as things change in the environment, like we have to adjust to them. And COVID was one of those things. It was like every routine, habit, system that you had in play before, it was like it's out the window. And you're trying to really figure out the best way to handle the crisis, because we were all in crisis mode, and then to handle the dynamics of the work dynamic of your family. I mean, it's just the compound of it. And you're right. I think a lot of us took on some coping mechanisms um, that maybe we weren't doing prior. And maybe even still now after the pandemic has, kind of gone to like sort of a stable, because still COVID is out there. But
Right.
still, I think there's still people that have the routines, habits that they may not have taken a stock in right now. They may have not taken a look at, oh my goodness, I kept to this because we were dealing with this. And so it could be a number of things, but you specifically said the pandemic. And so, you know, as you are helping and assisting individuals, like with the talents and so forth, like what's your best case study scenario of, a client, if you will, that came to you, you worked with, what kind of challenges did they have, and what was the result or the impact of you assisting them? Because I think that's very interesting as the work that you are doing. I've never like met anyone who I know they're out, you are the out there, people like yourself are out there, but I haven't, you're the first person. So just tell me and in the audience a little bit about what that looks like.
I, I, I will answer that question in a second. I just wanted to add one more thing to what we were talking about before,
Oh yeah,
which is
please
I
do.
think, especially for neurodivergent, and I'll say neurodivergent women, another lifetime changing experience is having children.
Mm,
And oftentimes that's a big one that will start kind of um, what's the word? Like making those challenges, making those difficulties, more severe, more prominent. Uh,
manifest.
yes, that's a good word. Yeah,
Hmm.
manifesting so that they end up, um, sometimes to the point where they end up exploring professional help. Yeah.
I agree. And before we get to the next one, because I had our son at the age of 37. So at that up to that point, it was just like get up and go, do what I do. And I had been doing it for a very long time and I was in my career. So I was like, but then I had our son. I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. And I was that type of woman that was very, um, like the stable, trying to get back to what I was doing prior. It took a minute and I really felt like I was out of sync. Like I had lost my competitive edge, if you will. I would say that a lot to myself. Like I am not on it. I am not sharp. I am not focused. I am thinking about 101 million things and he is at the top of the list, you know? And so you're right. I think the life-changing situations, especially for women, because having children is one of the things that I think can bring about different types of behaviors, that we may not even had any clue to, right, until later in life. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think that is a great example for sure.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then I guess to answer your question, so sometimes I will work with clients who will finish college, but they can't seem to find themselves in the world of work. So either they've tried a couple of jobs unsuccessfully, or they
Mm,
just cannot find a job at all. They've had interviews and nothing. And so, and sometimes they finish college without much of work experience
mhm,
because of the challenges. Being in school, whether it's high school or college, is already very, very demanding, right? So
mhm,
a lot of effort goes into actually getting through that, right? So they finish college, they have the education, they have amazing talents and abilities, but they haven't had a chance to apply that to work, right? So they really don't know what their strengths are or what their needs are, right? Even for the work environment. So we go through and we explore that, right? So you have this degree, okay. We know all the different options that you have for, getting a job, right? But
mhm.
out of all of that, what's actually right for you?
Right.
So we look at, um, you know, beyond the general, okay, let's look at your interests, your preferences, your values. We really, really examine what's really, what's a priority to them, as well as
Mhm,
what are their needs, right? Because for a neurodivergent person, for example, some neurodivergent people have really strong sensory sensitivities, right? Whether it's to
mhm.
light or to sound, to smells. So, what are your needs? What should the environment be like so that you are able to use your skills and abilities, right?
Yeah.
And then looking at, okay, um, what are your strengths, right? What are your strengths and how can you use them and how can you be in the environment that'll allow you to use those strengths?
Yeah. I love the service that you're providing, and the way that it's customized, it's personalized, and it gives the person confidence, right? It gives them a confidence, and it's such a different way of, you know what, I'm gonna find the most optimal place that I can thrive, where I'm not surviving, right? Like I'm not like in here in the slum day after day after day. And to be honest with you, Victoria, I really think that when I was serving in the military, we had many people who were in the neurodivergent and they could not, like, their job, it was like a mismatch.
Yep.
It's like they're in the job and they were not fulfilled, they were not doing well, they're not performing well, and unfortunately sometimes you get stuck in that role and they either separate or something else usually happens where they get into some types of troubles, and it's not because they're not wanting to do
Yep.
well, it's just not the right job,
Exactly. Exactly.
right? And no one talks about any of that. I'm like, I'm just being very honest when it goes in the military, but so having this as a service to what you're providing really can help. All like, I'm thinking about our son, like he's going to be going into college, right? And I want him to have the best chance, like anyone else, the best chance to do well when he goes into a particular job that he actually loves to do. and doesn't have to, instead of bouncing all over the place. Because I think that's what happens too, right?
Yep.
People just don't stay in a job because of many factors, but this can particularly be something else too. So Glenroy has a comment for us, and he says having a different way of thinking or processing that brings you to the same conclusion is not abnormal at all. Neurodivergence is necessary in every industry or career because the differences in how people think allow for a more holistic continuum of thought.
Yes, absolutely. Well said.
Well said.
Yeah. Yeah. And it drives innovation and creativity. Just, that different way of thinking outside the box. It is so necessary. But so many people don't have the chance to do that, to apply those strengths that they have. I hear so many stories, and these are, well educated professionals who say it's so difficult for them to get through the day, right?
Mm.
That they come home and they'll just lay on the floor and they'll cry. Yeah.
Oh,
I've heard stories of, people having to go into like a dark room or their bedroom, turn off the lights, or even something as extreme as going in their closet just to because they're so sensory overloaded from doing the work, from doing everything. Um, and it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be
no.
like that. And there's so much talent. There's so much giftedness that's untapped because of the way work is structured,
Yeah.
and the inflexibility that's there, that does not allow for those differences that are usually pretty easy to adjust, to make those adjustments.
Yeah. So, what do you share with leaders? Because, I talk a lot about leadership here on the show too, because, first of all, I just love talking about the art and science of leadership, and being in the space for a very long time, and now helping women who have been in leadership roles kind of do this transition shift and being the leader of their brand, their, business, or, their life, if you will. Um, so what would you share with leaders who may have individuals that are working in their company, business, and so forth and so on? What kind of maybe some tips or advice or insight would you share with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things, one, it is a great thing to always ask a person, what is it that you need? Or, how can I be of help? What can we change to make this a better process, or, a better way of doing things? It's extremely helpful to do that because they will tell you what they need. They will tell you, what works for them. Right. And then the second part is to really listen to that and to accept that information, even if it's something that seems, unusual or different from, what we're used to. So if they're explaining something that's challenging to them, again, um, even if it's something that you've never heard of before, right? Accept it, believe it, and then, use the information that they give you to do something with it. So if they say they need something or something would be helpful, follow through with that. Um, Overall, there are two things that are really helpful to keep in mind. One is clarity. It's a
Mm,
really big one. Clear communication, clear expectations, clear guidelines, clarity is huge. And then the second one is flexibility, right? So just as the comment was, some flexibility to do things their way, right? Or maybe just a little bit different, right? It's not letting them, it's not giving them special privileges. It's not letting them get away with anything, nothing like that at all. It's just allowing them to do things a little bit differently to reach that same goal, which
yeah,
in the end will help the employers or the
yeah,
leaders. And lastly, to say that it has to start with leadership. it has to start with them. It has to start with them modeling the behavior, and it has to start with them encouraging that culture, in the group that they're leading.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Clarity, of having clear guidance, expectations, so there's no confusion, and the person who's actually working can feel like they're being seen, heard, and valued, because I think that's one of the key things as well, and also the flexibility because. Listen, I was in a very rigid and conform environment for a very long time, and there was some wiggle room some places, but there was a lot of like, hey, this is the way we do it, and you can't do it any other way. And towards the end, they were talking about innovation and trying to, do things differently, right? Because they saw that what we've been doing for a very long time is not actually working for what is happening in real time.
Right.
So, having the ability to recognize this in the people that you're leading, right? And if you are a good leader, you'd already know that this is happening. And then you have a candid conversation with your employee to let them know, hey, we noticed some things, and being very genuine, sincere about it. And I think that's what the world needs more of is genuine, sincere leadership,
Yep.
right? And making sure that everyone is included, because that's the other word that you used in your bio is the inclusiveness, right? So having everyone have an opportunity, have a voice, and bringing up different ideas and thoughts and perspectives. So we making a holistic and around,
Right.
what we call whole team effort as opposed to just one or two people. So
Right. Right. And recognizing that people have a different way of delivering that information, or different ways of processing, contributing that, and giving space to everybody to contribute in a way that's comfortable for them.
yeah. So I absolutely love our conversation. Good evening, Charlene. How you doing, Queen? She's on the YouTube side of the house, and so she's just saying good evening to both of us. Um, so the other thing that I'm very interested in understanding as well is, we all think, like you said, we're all thinking differently. We have different perspectives about different things that happen in our lives or whatnot. So tell us a little bit about your drive and your motivation, all right, to do what you do. Because I know this is not easy. I know that this is a very personalized, like one-on-one with a individual, and that requires energy, and it's like consultation coaching, if you will. So what is your drive? Why are you doing this?
So I really, really enjoy it first, which makes that part a lot easier. I just absolutely love sitting, just like we're doing, one on one, and talking to somebody and going really deep. And of course, with the goal of using that information to help them, to empower them, to have them make some big moves that are going to be
Yeah,
successful.
yeah,
Um, so I really, really enjoy it, right? But now I'm stepping into focusing, while I continue to do the one-on-one, right? I'm also focusing on doing presentations and training and connecting with employers, with HR professionals and other decision makers, so that they understand this information, right? Because
yeah,
it can't be just on the individual. It won't work, right? It has to come from the employer as well.
yeah.
So, and that part, of course, to me, that's the part that's challenging, because I've always hid from the spotlight. So,
Mm.
um,
Look, you don't want to hang around me, Victoria. You'll be out there, and you just be out there. You'll be like, who's this girl? She's out here.
well,
Yeah. Let's step to the spotlight, because that's what we're doing. You
Right.
know.
So, and as you see, I'm taking those steps very, very much out of my comfort zone,
Yeah.
but I'm doing it because I understand that it's for something bigger than me, right? So and my comfort, my comfort, my skills with this, they're not going to change if I'm not going to do anything about it.
That's
So
right.
for me, it's pushing through that fear, that discomfort, and doing, doing this even, right?
Yeah.
But going out there and doing presentations and talking to employers, because again, keeping in mind that it's for something that is so meaningful, and it's something that's, it's not about me, it's about the community.
Yeah. And I love that because it's purposeful. It's
Right.
meaningful, like you said. It's something that you are doing that's fulfilling you and gives you that sense of, of being the puzzle piece, right? The puzzle piece that they're missing as to how they can develop and empower their teams. So this right here is, being on the show, and I created this show. Part of it is to get people to get on to the show and have their debut and talk through it, get you a little bit more comfortable outside. And listen, when I started out, I was not comfortable being on this platform, but after a while, I'm like, yes, like let's turn these cameras on, lights, camera, action, y'all. And so it does, because we do have a lot of expertise, we have a lot of knowledge, we have a lot of experience. We cannot be the best kept secret. All right, we are the only viable option. That's my belief as to what we do, especially if we create a business that we are very passionate about.
Yeah.
So more people need to know about you. So you're going from the one to one to one to many. All
Yeah.
right. So this is a new module for you. Glenroy has a comment for us. If there is a way to get to an agreed upon result that is different from how that result is normally reached, that does not take away from the overall mission and goal. Leadership has to become comfortable with the difference. You can draw a straight line from any direction. Okay, Glenroy, you just giving us all kinds of gems tonight.
I
I'm
know,
just
Glenn. I want to hire you to work with employers with me.
Glenroy is always coming through. He's always dropping such great gems of wisdom and value. But you're absolutely right. You know, there's again a lot of times we feel like it has to be just this way, and it really does not. And the experience that the employee is having, what is the overall experience? Because you want everybody to have a win-win. Everybody gets to win, not just one or two people. And Charlene says facts. So, I think that we were, having a really great conversation about, you know, having just unique. I wouldn't say there anything that's, that people are going to be like, oh, well, let me attach this name to it. It's unique, and everybody's unique in their own right, in their own way. So why do we kind of like push people away and say you don't belong here, when you need to really look and get to the nitty-gritty of who is the individual, right? And making sure that you're doing what you can to allow them to express themselves and to be part of the team and to really belong to the team. So you've had 20 years of experience in this, right? And you got your master's degree in vocational evaluation. So as you continue to do your private practice, what are your goals, if you will, besides going from one to one to one to many, um, over the next 5 years or so?
Um, well, I will admit, making long-term goals has always been challenging for me. So
I get it.
I can talk about next year.
Yeah, let's talk
Um,
about next year.
yeah. So so right now I have two contractors who work with me who help me. So I am considering expanding. So I'm excited for that.
Yes.
Um, and I am hoping to I guess establish a more regular I guess a regular presence with employers where I'm actually able to go in and do the work with the organization and possibly even work with the individuals directly if that's needed.
Yeah.
um, but something that's consistent where I'm able to um, not just I guess not I would say not just do presentations with people who already care, right, who tune in, who want to learn, right, but being able to reach individuals who are maybe not so open, who are skeptical, right, who are a bit
Yeah.
resistant, but doing that work and showing to them that it actually helps your business. Like your business will thrive if you understand this, if you make these adjustments. um, because we know that the businesses that survive, the businesses that do well, are the ones that adapt to whatever's going on. And the neurodivergent community, we're there, whether or not employers want to recognize that or not. We're there, we're working, right? So by implementing some small things, you know, you they would help to really grow and grow their business and help their business thrive.
Yeah. I think that is so good insight. That's really great to just leave for our audience. A lot of my audience members are leaders in their own right, but they're in workplace environments, they're in their careers, and having this information even to share when you're just having small talk, y'all, when you're having the cooler talk that we call go and get some water, and and listening to different ways that you can connect, because it's all about the connection
Yep.
with our people. And I think now more than ever, we need to rally around one another and really take in, the people that are closest to us, and really find out ways to bring each other up, to inspire one another, to encourage one another, to uplift each other. This is just an opportunity to do so. I know we're in trying times right now. So, making sure that, we have the information that we need when it comes to leading and being a part of wherever that's at. So, Glenroy again. Glenroy, we love you. Okay. It is paramount to the success of an organization that leadership and management are able to assess employees' gifts and abilities and allow them to utilize them for the overall goal. If you don't know your people's strong suits, you could be sitting on an untapped well in the midst of a drought of productivity. Uh, yeah.
Perfect. Perfect.
Perfect.
Yes.
Look, we might even steal some of your, if your comments here, Glenroy, all right, and put it somewhere where it's like attached to this particular episode, because it's just so important. And again, I have led many a teams. I have been in many environments, and I was shoulder to shoulder with so many leaders who just didn't get this.
Yeah.
They were just wanting to get the job done. All right. And then and when someone comes up with some, and they're thinking differently, it was like they don't know what they're talking about. All right. And they left them feeling like I don't belong here.
Yep.
I can't continue to work in this. And you could see their personalities and everything just fold in. So just such great information that you shared with us tonight, Viktoriya. So we're almost to the top of the hour. So is there anything, I got one more question for you before we, come off of the show today. But is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience before we leave tonight?
I have so much, but
Well, we got a few minutes, so what would you like to share?
well, I get, thinking again about leadership. I just wanted to emphasize again the importance of asking questions, right? And then
Mm,
also being giving feedback honestly. That's also really important. There are a lot of times when a person will come and ask, how am I doing, right? And there'll be no feedback until that performance review comes, right? Um, so just that honesty, um, let the person know if there's something that's going on. Let them know before it becomes a problem. Those are, it's so huge. And also be open to exploring ways for improvement together. So be there to make suggestions, to give ideas. Don't put it all on the person.
mm,
The other thing to say is, if anybody is, identifies as neurodivergent, or maybe they are thinking, that they are, in the neurodivergent community, getting a diagnosis, especially for adults, can be extremely, extremely challenging. Availability, cost, so many different reasons, because it's not typically covered by insurance for adults. So, um, but if you're somebody who thinks you're neurodivergent, right? The neurodivergent community very much accepts a self-diagnosis.
mm.
And I just want to share that there are a lot of resources out there, whether it's work related or, anything else. Um, there are podcasts, there, literature, there's a lot of arts, music, even, by neurodivergent people for the neurodivergent community. So to reach out and to connect and to get the resources that you need, to get the help that you need, even if you, again, you don't have the formal diagnosis, but you think you are neurodivergent.
Yeah, I think that is so important and so good for our listeners. So y'all heard it from Victoria tonight, y'all. Okay. Neurodivergent. All right. If there is a community out there and you know anyone who is challenged with being at work, with whatever is happening, and some of the things that I heard was like crying on the floor after the full work day, or going into the closet because it's just oversensory, the just overstimulated for the day. um we need to like better be prepared, be prepared to have these conversations, and some more insight to make us become better leaders, because that's really what we're trying to do, is to include and look out for one another, right? And so Chevy says, great conversation. Thank you, Chevy. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us live tonight. Okay, Victoria. So, one of the questions that I like to ask my guests at the end is very much in alignment with personal branding, because I operate in this space, and I'm helping my clients to build a strong, memorable personal brand so it's long lasting and people will never forget you when you come in and out of the room. The one question that we tease out a lot, because then every action is intentional as to how you're going to get there, is what is your legacy going to be? So here's the formal question is, when you're at your 80th birthday party, because hopefully we all will get blessed and get to that age and beyond, what do you want your family and friends to be saying about you?
I want them to say, um, Victoria had a way of making people feel heard and seen, and she saw them for them and their talents and their gifts, and she um, impacted in the community in a way that made this place better for those individuals who otherwise may have felt excluded.
Yeah. I think you're already there. You're definitely moving in the right direction. I am so excited about your year that's coming up where you're going to level up and grow and expand in your business. I do want to thank our guests for being here live with us. We had Christy Williams. Thank you so much. Chevy was here. Glenroy, Tina 2.0. Charlene was here. Y'all, please share this out with your community. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're building that channel up with great guests. And Victoria, I just can't thank you enough for your time and for actually giving us all these gems. I was just like, I wrote a few things down so that way I can take some notes and pass it on in my journey as well. So, y'all, we're going to end tonight's show now. Okay, next week is the 2nd of February. We will be here. Okay, we will be here. I have a guest on the 2nd of February, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or you can find me on the Rise and Slay Show, which will be on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I'm going to share personal brand insights because that's what I'm doing. Okay. So as always, have an amazing week and keep on slaying until you can't slay no more. And I will see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining. And thank you
Yeah,
so much for letting me come and share this. And I'm very appreciative.
absolutely. I'm looking forward to what you're gonna do this year. Yes, Donnell, we're slaying it and we're out. Okay. See y'all soon.
Bye, everyone.